Welcome into another episode of Clipboard Conversations. I'm John Foki alongside Hornets head coach James Borrego. And on this episode, we're going to take a look ahead to the trip to Paris. But coach, before we get there, I know we always open up kind of talking about the trends. And one of the trends here coming off that trip out west is an opportunity to practice. You haven't had one of those. How were you guys able to spend that time getting better, resting, recovering, and preparing for kind of the unofficial second half of the season?
It's been a grind, our schedule. Obviously, playing the most games in the league. Our guys needed just to recover for a day or two, get their legs back, do some life stuff, get away. And so that's been good. Last 2 days, really good practice. Just some cleanup, some details, some additions to our offensive package, some things that we needed to clean up that we saw on film the last 4 games. And I think we'll be better for it in the end. So good quality work, a little bit of rest and recovery, some mental exercises in the video room, watching ourselves, talking about it. But I've been really impressed with our guys that they've stepped up. They're talking, they're communicating more. They understand this is their team. They're taking ownership of that. So these last few days, we've been really focused on that. Guys have been engaged, and I think it'll really set the tone for this trip coming up.
How have you seen the leadership of this group and the ownership of it evolve throughout the course of the season?
Well, we're blessed to have those vets in that locker room that are solid vets. They understand this league, they understand leadership, and they're trying to lead this group. Then you have another group that's trying to figure out how to lead. We have a young group that's emerging right now. And you've seen Terry Rozier step up his leadership. Devontae's trying at times. 2 of our point guards that need to step up in that role of communication and leadership, and I think that's been big. And I think you have Marv there. That's been a big part of that leadership foundation. Biz has been a big part of that. So you need those voices in the locker room to get you through a season, to sustain you and help those young guys understand and value each day, every practice, every possession. But I think the young guys are really stepping up their leadership opportunities. We're not where we need to be, but I'm seeing more growth in that area.
And I know we talk about creating that culture of being ready. Nobody knows when it's going to be their time, when they're going to be called upon. And I thought Billy exemplified that over that road trip as well. What did you like out of what Billy brought you, and then areas where you saw maybe him take some strides getting that playing time versus what you saw at the beginning of the season?
Well, he stayed ready the whole time. I didn't doubt that. He's worked extremely hard. He's been in the weight room more than anybody. He continues to work, condition, keep his body, his mind right, and he just needed an opportunity. And he was really our one guy that hadn't had that opportunity this season. And I thought he played well. He stepped up. He's got fresh legs. Obviously, he hasn't played a whole lot, so he was fresh out there. He was banging, running the floor, pounding the boards. I saw more urgency on the defensive end. Obviously, he gives us a lot of offense right now, rolling to the rim, finishing around the bucket. He can post up. And he just gives us great energy. Whether he's on the bench or out there on the court, he's just a great young man that has a bright future. And I think now he has an opportunity to prove it, and so far he's done that.
One other thing that happened as we wrapped up that road trip, Robert Franks waived from the 2-way contract. You bring in Ray Spalding. He's a guy that's had some NBA experience. I guess at this point, what do you know about him and thoughts about him joining as a 2-way player?
Well, we see him as a development piece for us, another young piece. We don't have a lot of these young guys in stock as far as the big guys, and he's one of those guys that can, he's got great length, 6'10", roughly 6'10", 6'11", 7'4" wingspan. He can play above the rim. He's got some basketball instinct. He fits our character mold. He's a great kid, coachable kid. So we're excited to work with him. So, yeah, it's tough to see guys go, but we feel like this is a guy that we can develop and grow with.
All right. When we come back, we're going to take a look ahead. The road goes across the pond. We're headed to Paris. We'll talk about that with head coach James Borrego next, right here on Clipboard Conversations. All right, we take a look at the road ahead, Coach, and kind of a unique road ahead as we head to Paris. Have you been a part of the global games for the NBA at any point throughout your career?
Been to Mexico City, so that was a great experience. Wonderful fans. It's great to be in an environment where it's fresh and new for these fans. There's a real vibrancy and excitement when these fans get to see these athletes up close and personal. So. It's been a wonderful experience. I've been blessed to go out to other countries, experience basketball without borders. We've done training camp overseas a few times with the Spurs, and we actually trained in France 1 year I guess Tony Parker forced us to have training camp. He said, if we're going to do the Virgin Islands for Timmy, we got to do it for me in France. So we trained in Lyon, and then we played a game in Paris. Both wonderful experiences. My memories, which is a while ago, are very fond of that place. So I'm excited to go. Bring some loved ones with me and enjoy the experience.
So we've spent all this time asking Nick to give us the tour guide, and yet here you,
that's the guy.
You already had it.
That's the guy. That's the guy. He knows the restaurants, the wine, the pastries, where to go. So I think we're in good hands with him.
And speaking of Nick, the opportunity for him and possibly Billy and these guys to have family at the game, which is very rare. Well, what a great opportunity for them.
Yeah, to showcase their talents and to make it to this level and this point, for these young men to come from, Europe, and here they are now on the global stage representing themselves, their countries, our organization on that stage is just really special. So I hope they enjoy it. I hope their family enjoys it. Just a wonderful experience for everybody. So I couldn't be more happy for both those guys. They deserve it. And it's a great time to just come together, number one, as a team, but then to watch these individuals perform out there in front of their friends and family is really special.
And we talk about what a global game the NBA is, and Nick said his first NBA game that he ever saw was San Antonio in Paris. And, now there could be the next Nick Batum. There could be the next Tony Parker watching these games. I mean, it's just such a great opportunity to grow the game as well.
I guess, when you see these athletes live, maybe your dreams become more of a reality. It becomes, I can be there someday. And I think maybe Nick's an example of that, and Tony Parker's an example of that. And you're right, there could be the next, Tony Parker out there watching these young men, play. So hopefully it brings a buzz and excitement about the game of basketball, but also about the NBA and what's really possible for anybody out there, no matter where you're at, what country you're in, where you come from. These goals and opportunities are out there for you. Hopefully you go grab it.
How do you guys use this as, like you mentioned, the team coming together? How do you use this trip as a bonding experience for your group?
Great opportunity to bond. I'm going to, use it almost like a mid-season training camp or reconnection to get out there and spend some meals together and, spend life together. When you're in a new country, everything's new. We're bunkered in together, experiencing this city, this country for the first time together. It should be really fun and really something that we'll all look back on as a wonderful experience. And but I think this could be a real catalyst to the rest of our season, really bonding us, uniting us, pushing us forward as we head into the second half of the season.
And it's so unique. You don't usually get an opportunity like that, like a couple of days to practice and then to be together in the middle of the season. I mean, you kind of had to pay for it with all the games early, but overall, it's something that's probably very rare when you think about the NBA schedule.
Right. You maybe get this in training camp, something like that. But this is rare in season to get a few days away together, traveling, experiencing a new city and country together. This is very rare. So I hope it unites us, it bonds us, and I believe it will.
And kind of just one final thing as we wrap up thinking about Paris. We talk about growing the game and the NBA brand, but an opportunity to really put the spotlight on the Hornets organization and the city of Charlotte as well, and kind of show them, hey, this is what we're doing here in Charlotte. This is the culture that we're trying to create and show that on a huge stage.
Yeah, it's a wonderful opportunity for the organization, for our players, but the organization and city as a whole. Hopefully we get more fans out of this, right? Some more Hornet fans and Charlotte Hornet fans that are out there that understand what we're trying to do, and hopefully we represent them well and we play well, and our young athletes perform at a very high level, because this is a special city. It's a special organization. We're doing things the right way. It starts from the top with our owner on down, and it's a great way to go out there and represent such a wonderful place. So it's an honor to be there, and we're looking forward to it.
Absolutely, going to be a lot of fun. Be sure to follow the Hornets across all their social media channels. They'll be keeping you up to date on everything happening in Paris. Coach, appreciate your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Head coach James Borrego, this has been Clipboard Conversations.